Well, we're back with you guys. JT here in the Studio 104 live again here on a Wednesday afternoon. Got a great show lined up for you. Hope you guys have been paying attention. And we announced we would have Trooper Dial back on the show last week, that we would have him this week. And he's waiting to come out and share some insights, information, and answer questions. So hopefully you'll be some guys in there, and you guys will want to have some questions answered, or what's gone on in your experiences out there that you just kind of went, what? Why did that happen? And maybe the ones that you always wonder about and hear about. And Trooper Dial and I just had one of those conversations where we were talking about the trucker talk stuff you hear out there on the road. Is it real or not? And got some good answers. So we got the right man for the show today, and we'll get him in here shortly. Hope you guys have had a decent week so far. It's been an interesting week so far, to say the least, in our in our world. Remember everything that they told you? Never mind. It's just not that way. Oh my gosh, man. Listen, I gotta say shortly just one thing about the political world that we live in right now. Um we need to you need to talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is the truth. And the truth is that it changes apparently if you're it just changes apparently. So I can't believe some of the stuff I see with my own eyes. I don't need the news to report it to me because I'm watching it as it takes place. And that's the best thing. That's always the be your own witness, right? And as this stuff takes place, it just continues to blow my mind what's being said, and what's going on and how it takes place. And yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Pete Henderson, how are you doing, buddy? How's everybody else doing out there tonight, by the way? Got a slow start today, so hopefully we'll be able to wind her up and get her going. But I have, in fact, you know what? Okay, so I, being the host of Studio 104 Live, yours truly, JT here, I'm recording what's going on right now. And apparently y'all are not. You're watching it. So um I hope it doesn't last a whole hour. But I've got recording, and yeah, it's I don't, frankly, I'm not sure, man, if it's going to be a farewell speech, a endorsement speech, a I don't know what happened to me speech, and I don't know where I'm going speech. Nobody knows. So y'all seem to be out there watching it, man. Looking from the numbers that I have right now of you that are tuned in, and the rest that aren't. Yeah. Hey, Jeffrey, good to have you on, buddy. And Mike, good to have you on the show as well. Um, what am I going to do? Our show's on at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. Some other guy just decided to have his little one shot last hurrah. Same time as us. We're up against him, I guess. So anyway, we'll keep going our direction, doing what we're doing, and that'll have to be good enough. Talk to some good people on Monday. Talk to Dustin Dickerson, and Dustin and everybody at Dickerson Custom Trucks are doing good. Been busy. They are going from show to show to show, and things are moving right along for them. Love the Dickerson family, and all the stuff that they do and what they got going on. Good things are going to be coming ahead here from them as well, and we'll look to be sharing some of that with you. Next week we'll have Ron Beer on the show, and Ron will be chiming in. We'll have a little Politico session, and talk some stuff. So guys, be sure and bring your opinions, thoughts, and whatever's to share next week. And that's what the show will mostly be about, is kind of what's going on in the world today, and what's going to be going on. uh thanks for the Jeff. Yeah, man. uh Politics are what they are, man. They are in our face and in front of us right now in the biggest way that they've been in a long time. So it's important we all listen up and do our part to forward our belief and whatever that is, and in a way that's not going to be hopefully offensive or downgrading to anybody, and um, putting anybody off. I don't want to do that. I don't. But here at the same time, my views, your views may be different one from the other. So, but that's okay. We can do that, and we can still be friends, and we can still get along. Some people have a harder time doing that than others, but uh, I'm not one of them. I frankly, you know what? If you got this far in life and we made it, we're here. We must have been doing something right. Beyond that, just keep on going and do what you do. Hopefully it's not, something that's affecting anybody in a bad way or hurtful or demeaning way, and we can get through it together. That's really the biggest thing here, guys, is we need to get through this together. And there's a lot going on right now, so do your part, pay attention. I want to say it is National Tequila Day, and in spirit and light of that, cheers to National Tequila Day. Let me know what you're sipping today. This happens to be a very nice añejo. Nice notes of vanilla, a little chocolate, some a little bit of wood, some oak in there, a little smoke. Very nice though, and you'll laugh when I tell you that is Kirkland brand añejo, and they've got it dialed, man. I'll tell you what, straight up or uh, in a margarita, and it's one of the best margaritas I've ever had is with the Kirkland añejo. Fantastic stuff. Yeah. Hey, Cindy, get on it. Dougie, what's going on, buddy? I'm looking for a burrito, huh? You're going to have to get ahead of that, man. The Friday burrito feature has been missing. Jeffrey, you know what? I drank so much Coors Light when I was a kid. I, I can't. I don't even taste that stuff anymore. Um, that's crazy. But anyway, Trooper Dial is part of and was part of a really great long running feature that we had. Ask the Law. And it was in 10-4 magazine. Now, something cool about 10-4 magazine that y'all might or might not be aware of is that if you really want to step back in time and look up anything that we have in our past, scroll down here on the homepage or any page for that matter, and look for what it is you're trying to find. Then in this case, we want Ask the Law. I did this today, and I went through so many great articles of years gone by. And listen, this goes back. Let's see. I didn't click on number 7. Oh, well, there you go. Back to 2011, it looks like. So, um, quite a history. And there's Old Blue right there. If you guys remember Old Blue, that great looking Kenworth. Yeah, in fact, you know what? That's kind of a bummer on these articles. You click on that thumbnail picture and it doesn't come with the articles. But that being said, there's a lot of great information in here, and I think what we'll do is I'm going to start sending out a post with a reminder for you guys to go in, look, and see if there's anything in there that you want to discuss. If there's anything new that's happening that you're not sure about, and one of the things that Trooper Dial and I were talking about before the show started, we went into uh, is your truck and sleeper your domicile? Is that your place of residence when you're on the road? And he gave a great answer. And some of the questions that get asked along that line happen to be in this article right here. And I thought, man, great minds. We are right on track. So if you want to get those and many other questions that can be answered and have been, go back to our archives and ask the law. They'll be there and they're not going anywhere. In the meantime, I want to bring my buddy Trooper Dial into the set right now. Trooper Dial, how you doing?
I am doing great, JT.
Good to have you on board again, and looking forward to continuing to have you on board. So, um, we have a topic today that you recommended we talk about. I'm gonna bring it back up over here on my computer, and that's personal conveyance, which I didn't really. For me, I was a day cab guy, and when I got in my truck, I drove it, did what I needed to do, and got out and got in my car. Never thought about, do I need to drive my car anywhere? I mean, my truck anywhere besides for work. And although very few, if ever, times did I do that, which would have been like to the shop for a repair or something like that, I guess. But I'm going to leave this to you to kind of break this down to everybody and let everybody know what is personal conveyance. And incidentally, we're taking all of this right off the FMCSA website. If you guys want to go to that, you can. Um, if anybody has a question of how to get there, write it in the notes and we'll answer that for you. So Trooper Dial, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you have your way with this.
All right. Thanks, JT, for having me back. I enjoy having the opportunity to talk to drivers. This goes back to probably 1989 when I met an old fella by the name of Old Blue USA. And he went to Louisville.
Yes, sir.
Like I say, he started out showing a show truck, just like you did. And he went to uh, Louisville, had his truck set up, and it just so happened that it was right across the aisle from the Kentucky Highway Patrol. They would come over and ask him questions, and he would sit there and say, "Look, fellas, go talk to those guys across the aisle." "Oh, no, 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 I can't do that. They go over there and see my name tag. The first thing they're going to do is write my name down and come looking for me." He said, "Oh, that ain't going to happen." Anyway, in 19,
Makes for a good story though, right?
it does. In 1989, he called my captain here in Texas and wanted someone to do a radio show. And I ended up going and got sent to do the assignment. And I mean, it has gone ballistic since then. We did that, another series on satellite radio picked us up, decided, hey, we need to do that. So we have been at it since 1989, and I am following up RJ Taylor's dream, and that is providing drivers with an answer to a question that they can rely on because it is coming from someone that has worn the badge or is wearing the badge that is not afraid to give you an answer based upon the DOT regulations.
Correct. And in case you guys aren't watching, the guys that are watching and didn't know him, he's no longer with us, but in memory and in spirit, and in the archives of 10-4 magazine. So he'll live on forever in that respect. So I think that's pretty cool.
But anyway, one of the things that I have learned or have experienced through the years, and this goes back to, well, let's start with the original interpretation for personal conveyance. The original interpretation was if the driver was en route, which means he picked the load up and he's going to deliver the load, and it takes him through many rest breaks. At any time during one of those rest breaks, if he wanted to take and go shopping, go to a restaurant because he did not like the place that he was staying. He wanted to eat healthy. He didn't want truck stop food, didn't want fast food, whatever. Or he wanted to go to a movie. The interpretations allowed the driver to take his commercial motor vehicle, his CMV, to do these items. Well, along in 2019, they came back and revised the interpretation. And in that revision, they gave drivers a multitude of allowable uses for personal conveyance. But at the same time, they went out there and told driver, if you're doing one of these, shame, 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 shame if you get caught. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through and talk about some of the allowances of what a driver can do. And that the in here again, going back to the original interpretation, if a driver pulls into the truck stop terminal, a place that he drops the trailer, or a shipper or receiver, and he drops it there, understanding that he does not have his personal vehicle stationed at that location. So they said, okay, Mr. Truck Driver, you can take and use your your tractor, and they've even gone back and said, no, you can even include a trailer attached to it and drive to your personal residence, provided that you go back to where you ended your tour of duty. So, in other words,
So, yeah.
if you went to the drop yard, you got to go back to the drop yard. If you went to the terminal, you went to the terminal. This way, it allowed the driver to use personal conveyance to go home, take his rest break, and then go back and start his next tour. The next
Yeah.
day was time spent traveling to a safe location from a shipper or receiver. Nowadays, a lot of the companies, the shipper or receiver does not allow the driver to stay on their property. Therefore, they said if a driver reaches that property and runs out of hours, now he's allowed to a drive to a safe location to sit there and obtain suitable rest. Next thing they did was if you are at a location, let's say that you're at a roadside park, you're at a scale, you're at a shopping center, whatever. Law enforcement comes up and says, hey, Mr. Truck Driver, knocks on the door, says, you've got to get out of here. They will allow you to use personal conveyance to move to another location. The last one has to do with time spent transporting your personal property. If you're moving from one location to another location, then you can sit there and use the CMV to transport your personal property from one location to another location. And those are typically the uses that most truck drivers, and there's some has to do in there with bus companies, bus drivers. I don't think we need to go into much detail on that. Now we get off into what you cannot do. And one of the things, and this is where one of my partners or one of my associates that works with the Indiana State Police is finding that a lot of people are violating the personal conveyance when they are not qualified. The first one has to do with moving an out of service vehicle, or I'm sorry, moving a vehicle from a drop yard or moving it from a shipper. And he bypasses the first available rest location. In other words, I have got a pickup that is 50 miles down the road, but there are 2 or 3 rest periods or rest locations within that location, and he decides to pass by those so he can get closer to where he's supposed to pick up his next load. That's
Right.
That's a big no-no. The next thing has to do with after you've delivered a tow unit. And this goes back to I call them the mobile home transporters or the travel trailer transporters. And most of those all originate out of Indiana. You pick up a travel trailer in Indiana, and let's say you're going to California to drop that trailer off. And once you drop it off, they tell you, okay, you need to get back because we got another load. Well, in this instance right here, you cannot use personal conveyance to get back to where your next pickup is. You have to log on duty, not driving, and then make sure at the end, when you get back close to where you're going, you take your 34-hour reset. That 34-hour reset re-zeros your clock, allows you a new 60 and 7 or 70 and 8. The next thing has to do with transporting your CMV to a location that you are using to get service done. So, in other words, if you're at your residence, you're at the terminal, you're at the drop yard, and you decide that you want to go down the street to get your vehicle serviced, you don't do your oil change, you let somebody else do it. They're saying you cannot use personal conveyance to do that.
Hmm.
Then the
Yeah,
last
I mean that to me, I there's some blurred lines here, but go ahead, Trooper Dial. Go ahead. I'm following along. We've got a question. Well, we
you got it, bring it on.
yeah,
Before we go.
no. I think there's a blurred line there just because if you have if you've got time to take care of your business for the day, I would dispatch my guys. They go out, do whatever they got to do. They're running all day. Somebody's running up against a scheduled maintenance, but they're out of time. And that in my world, we were running dump trucks and all that kind of stuff. So we were kind of in a little bit of a blurred line already, if you will. But that being said, guy runs down to the shop to get oil change done. I mean, yeah, it's part of what needs to be done to make the business run. I guess it's a gain for the business. It's a commercial process, but at the same time, I'm not making any money doing it. I'm spending money, in fact. So,
I understand. I understand. But if you go back and look in 390 in the definition of what on duty time is, anytime you take a vehicle to get serviced, that is on duty, not driving.
yeah,
Like if
I
you
get it. Like, yeah,
It's just like if you pull up to the gas pump, you have to be on duty, not driving, because you're fueling the vehicle or somebody is fueling the vehicle for you.
right.
And then the last one has to do with time spent traveling to the motor carrier terminal after loading or unloading from a shipper or receiver. So in other words, if the you run out of hours and the location that you unloaded happens to be in the same city that you were in, you cannot use personal conveyance to get back to where the company terminal is.
Well, I understand what they're doing, and while it makes sense, I say there are some blurred lines there, but it's a fine line to try to stay within this and make sure you're doing the right things and not the wrong things. I never honestly, I mean, just from my own experience, I never worried too much about any of this stuff because in our time when I was running, the only time I had to use logbooks was when I was running out of my area. When I ran in my region or my area, home area that is, we were allowed to use dispatch sheets. I would hand it to the driver in the morning and they'd go out and do what they needed to do, bring it back in, and then they were done and they'd be off the rest of the day. That being said, in California, and you brought this conversation up earlier when we were talking too. Um, DOT was not in California yet. We were not having DOT inspections. We were just having the CHP. You know, they would come in and do our inspection at our terminal and check everything out. Uh, there were no DOT enforcement in officers. It got handed over to the California Highway Patrol to do. Is this ringing a bell with you?
Yes, it is.
And
And
okay, so
like I say, in
in
1989 was when September the 1st of 1989 was when Texas adopted the DOT regulations.
okay, 89. So I can't recall the exact year for us in California, but I can tell you this: in San Joaquin County, my company that I owned, CTR Trucking, was the first to be inspected in San Joaquin County by the CHP, and we passed. Thank you very much. Um, it was a new experience for both myself and the officer inspecting our terminal and our equipment and checking everything out. But we had everything ready to go and had our MC numbers and everything was done, man. We were good to go. And I'd like to thank my daughter for helping us to do that. She ran my office for me, and she did a lot of great things for all of us, and that was one of them, of getting that done and getting it done correctly. But it at that point we decided, you know what, let's just get everybody in the habit of using a logbook, and we did. And everybody started using a logbook. We used the loose leaf logbooks back then, and they worked for what we were doing, and we got through things just fine. But never did we have a thought of any of, the going to the oil change, shop, tires, oil change, any of that stuff. I mean, I drove my truck down to get stuff done. Drivers would, stop in and get stuff done, and we just had never. I guess we were breaking the law, so handcuff me. But uh, you know what? No harm, no foul. But it's good to know that you shouldn't do that,
Yeah.
and
One
that should
one
be.
of the things one of the things when RJ came to Texas, to the Gats, and one of the things, of course, it took him several days to get here, simply because he was not the type that he liked to run hard and, hard to get to where he wanted. He wanted to
Right,
take his time to get here.
right.
Once he got here, I have looked at his logbook, and he would sit there and show on duty, not driving, every time he went to get his truck washed, every time he went to get his truck serviced.
Hmm.
So it was one that he knew the regulations, but
Yeah,
when drivers came up and asked him, he would always refer them to someone that had the badge and the gun on.
yeah.
He would sit there and say, I have my opinion. I will tell you what my opinion is.
Yeah,
But if you want the gospel truth, go see the man with the badge and the gun, and he
yep.
will tell you exactly how to do it.
Uh, this is one of our viewers today, and this name's Chris. Hi, Chris. Thanks for coming in. Chris says personal conveyance can be used for all non-dispatch miles, no matter the distance or how long it takes. You can take a commercial CMV across the country, a commercial vehicle, commercial motor vehicle, what that stands for, I'm sure, across the country on PC, personal conveyance, as long as it's non-dispatch miles or unpaid miles. What do you say to that? Is
Okay,
that is that
yes, thanks. That's a good question, Chris. From what I hear, is FMCSA is in the process of bringing forth what we call a notice of proposed rulemaking, that they are fixing to put a limit on the number of miles or the number of hours that you can use PC. As of right now, I do not know of anything that prohibits you from doing that. Now, let me add this disclaimer. It's going to be between you and the trooper that stops you.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are going to determine whether or not from the location from where you're going to where you're going is allowable under personal conveyance.
So they could make a call out in the field, and there's nothing you can do about it, right?
That's correct. It's like you and I were talking earlier. You know,
Yeah.
you had a CHP threw off a CHP trooper that was aggressive. And
Yep.
same thing could happen to Chris. He could run
Yep.
across a trooper that is very aggressive that says, "Oh hell no, you ain't going that far." And if that's the case, then you are in their state, and you have to abide by what he says.
Yep.
Now, there is a way that you might get around it, and that would be if uh, you talk to your trucking company supervisor, safety supervisor, and get them to do what is called a data queue challenge. And the data queue challenge means that we are challenging this violation or this citation, and this is the reason we are challenging it. When the motor carrier submits that to the FMCSA in Washington D.C., they will in turn send it back to the state of the trooper that had the notice, the violation notice, or the citation issued, and it becomes their prerogative to say whether or not yes or no. But FMCSA will have the final say so.
Yep. Got another question for you, and thanks for answering that one. And Chris, thanks for asking. Appreciate that. Tony Huttenstein, how you doing, buddy? I'm glad to have Tony on the show. A cover trucker, 10-4 magazine. First, thanks for coming on the show, Trooper Dial. My question is the instance you did mention, if a driver is at a receiver that takes him over his hours of service, and upon emptying, he does drive by a safe place because it is full, but his pickup has parking, so he goes there to park and make pickup. The driver would then need to go back to the receiver to start his day. Is that correct? That's what you said, right? That's it. Yeah.
That's correct, Tony. That's a good question. Here again, once you are on a property of a shipper or a receiver and you run out of hours, under the current interpretation that was issued in 2019, you are allowed to go to the first suitable place for you to secure your rest. If this truck stop happens to be full, then you're allowed to go to the next one, and so on down until you find a place where you can safely park. And here again, I do not recommend anybody parking on the shoulder, an entrance ramp, or an exit ramp, because all you're doing is asking for your motor carrier to be sued if somebody runs into your truck. So always make sure that you find a location that is off of the road for you to safely park to get your rest. And
Yep.
it just so happens, if it happens to be in the direction that you're going, so be it. But I think the one of the when we were discussing earlier, the one of the things that you cannot do is that you bypass two, three, four, five, six locations to get suitable rest because you want to get closer to where your next pickup is. That's when it becomes a big no-no.
Yep. You know, I get what the deal is here on this, and from my own interpretation, it basically wants you to start from where you're legally ending, not where you made it to by kind of leapfrogging something, which would be your logbook, I guess. By doing the personal conveyance, if you are able to gain some ground by going somewhere else you need to go but it's nothing to do with your load, and it's nothing to do with anything commercial. You're just going somewhere to get something to eat. You're going to go sleep somewhere, whatever it is you're doing. Everything starts where you ended your day and where you signed out at.
Yeah,
Correct? Yeah.
correct. Now, one of the things that I want to remind the drivers that are listening, your motor carrier can determine whether or not they will allow you to use personal conveyance or not. If the motor carrier says no way in hell are you ever going to be able to use PC, then you are out of luck.
Yeah. That's no good. I can't tell you how many times I see guys off the side of the road, curtains drawn, and they're out. They're catching some Z's. And I'm thinking to myself, is that because the E-log made them just stop right there in their tracks? They are out of hours, and dispatch is saying, "Yeah, you know what? You've got this much time left, but you're running until that thing's out of time. I don't care where you're at." And then you pull over. They're not giving the guy a chance to make what I'll call a quality stop. It saddens me, and I feel bad for them guys. I really do.
And I am the same way, and it's like my partner up in Indiana. We have always stated, if you are going to run out of hours, make a notation. In most e-logs, I know paper logs allow you to do it, but make a notation that you ran out of hours and this was the safest location I could find, even if it meant that you were driving over hours. Because I guarantee you 99% of the troopers are going to give you that they will sit there and understand, yes, I understand what happened here. That may be fine and dandy.
Well, that's good to know too. Then, so it's not such a finite, deal that it's in stone. You're out of hours, you stop, and that's the end of it all. Jeff Patello, how's it going, buddy? Good to have you on the show. I I, I know that we're all human, right? The guys driving truck, you guys in the cruisers, everybody's human, and you put the human factor into this a few minutes ago by saying, that it's up to the trooper and his discretion to how he handles any situation. And that, I think, that remains true in all situations in and out of the truck. You're gonna run into guys that, like I have, that were aggressive and just had it out that they were going to make sure they got their point across, um, whether valid or not. But the point is that start out. We got to do our part to be decent. Maybe they will be, maybe they won't be. As long as we do our part to be friendly and decent, I think we're probably headed down the right road together, don't you?
Yes, I agree. And one of the things, and like I say, my partner, state partner up in Indiana, he is an instructor for the uh, teaches part A or part B, I think part A of the DOT regulations. And one of the things that they hammer to these drivers or to the troopers is the DOT regulations are about safety. Safety, safety, safety. We don't need somebody going out there and trying to be one that's trying to prove a point.
Right.
If it's something that results in the unsafe operation of a vehicle, whether it be the equipment or whether it be the driver, then yes, now then it is time to sit there and let's take some action. But as long as it's being done safely, we may have minor violations. That's fine and dandy. We take and issue minor violations, no citation. But at the same time, if it's something that affects the safe operation of the truck and the trailer, now then it is time to grab the driver and get his attention.
Yep. I agree. And that's, you know what, that's a good thing for everybody. And I'm not saying guys don't pay attention, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes they don't. They miss stuff, and they're on the road, and or maybe something broke down and unraveled while you're moving, and you don't know it. Well, if the guy picks up on that, whether you've gotten pulled over or you're running through a scale and they see something or they just happen to pull you in, um, it's probably a good thing you got pulled in. I can't wrong anybody for that, and including myself if it happened and it was something out of my line of sight at the time. It just happens. It is that way. So not such a bad thing. I want to invite everybody again to go over to the website 104magazine.com, and as I said, you can scroll on any page down to the bottom and get into the archived editions by category drop down menu and find Ask the Law, and we're on there right now. There is a wealth of knowledge here that's been accumulated in the last 15 years or so, I guess it is, that's available for people to go in and have a look at. If you're looking for something specific, you can probably look at it in the first few sentences, or maybe the thumbnail photo is a dead giveaway too as to what that particular article was about, and you might have an answer in there. The other great way to get an answer to something is submit it. And you guys can submit your questions to John at 104magazine.com, and I will make sure that we bring it up at our next session with Trooper Dial. And if it's something that you need answered right away, get it to me and let me know that, and I'll get it over to him. And that way we can get an answer for you. Tony had another comment here I'm going to share. With the focus on safety, they're not implement a tier system for guys with safer records than drivers who do not. Okay. Say no e-log or extra hour service. Just spitballing. I get that, Tony. I have to say to that, and I'll let Trooper Dial answer too. My feeling on that was the reward was pre-pass, and if you could get the pre-pass, man, for us that was a big time saver. That kept us from having to run through scales all the time. So while a lot of other guys are getting pulled in and they have to take that time out of their hours, we didn't, and that was because we ran a good terminal and we had a good safety record. Trooper Dial, how about you?
Okay, thanks, Tony. That's another good question. FMCSA has come up with a new technology, and that started back in what they call CSA 2010. And what they did was, prior to that, FMCSA and their state partners would take and show up at a motor carrier at a moment's notice and conduct a compliance review. Well, when they implemented CSA 2010, they decided, hey, we're going to take and go about this at a different perspective. What we're going to do is we're going to rely on road inspections. Under the requirements prior to 2010, they would sit there and in fact, I was one of those that did the motor carrier audits. We would show up and we would have a stack of inspections. Well, since then, under 2010, what they would do is every month they would upload the data to where it went to FMCSA. If a motor carrier had satisfactory inspections every time they got inspected, well, guess what? They got moved to the top of the pile. Now, they implemented the system based upon the size of the motor carrier. So, in other words, if you were and I don't want to sit there and go out and start naming companies, but if you have a big, huge company, they did not treat you the same as they would if you were a 1, 2, or 3, or 10 truck company. And so what they did is they based the rating on the size of the motor carrier. So let's say you are a 10 truck company. you were based upon other motor carriers that had 10 trucks. And as long as you were at the top of the pile, when you went through pre-pass, they would sit there and give you the green light. Now, they also would sit there and say, okay, this company has a green light, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that we keep tabs of that company. So let's say every third truck, fourth truck, fifth truck, 10th truck, whatever, when that company goes through it, if they went through a pre-pass and they were happened to be number whatever, then they got pulled in and they would go through an inspection. And if you had a clean bill of health, guess what? You stayed at the top of the pile. So in other words, the CSA 2010 was out to get the unsafe drivers off of the road. And this
Right.
was how they did it.
Right. Well, that's another part to it as well, and we're kind of both on the same page there. Pre-pass to me was that was my reward for running, good equipment, good drivers, and a terminal that always passed inspection. And as long as we did that, all of my trucks had the pre-pass up in the window, and it was to our benefit. It was an excellent, what I thought was an excellent deal. It just worked really well. So something to shoot for. And I know not everybody has the pre-pass, at least the one that we had in California versus the one that they have in Oregon versus the one, I think there's different ones in different states, that you have to get it through your state that you're registered in, I guess. I don't know, but I know the one in California didn't do anything for me up in Oregon.
Well, they have them set up now to where if you register nationally with pre-pass, it's good in all 50 or 49 or 48 states
48, yeah.
that have the pre-pass system set up. So
Good.
if I'm in Texas and I have pre-pass and I go to California, California is going to recognize the FMCSA database for pre-pass, and if I'm at the top of the tier, I'm going to get a green light unless California says, "Hey, I want every fourth truck, fifth truck, however many trucks, or if I'm hauling a hazardous material load." Those are the ones that do not get the pre-pass.
Right, right. They're at the whim of the scale house every time it goes by one you got to pull in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 10-4. All right, Trooper Dial. Look, we look forward to having you back again in August. You can certainly reach out and let us know what it is you want to share out there, and we'll get it up in the promotion for the show and get everybody going on what it is we're going to talk about. In fact, I'll say right now, if you guys have questions and have a topic that you want, like I said, email it to me, John at 104magazine.com. I will get the information to Trooper Dial. Also, we'll try to get ahead of this thing for August, and that way we can put together something in way ahead of time, so you guys can get more questions together to find out answers to. Tony and everybody that joined in today, thanks for the questions. And Tony did have one more final comment. Says, thanks all, makes perfect sense to me. I just wish they could individualize it more per driver. If you have a company of 10 and 2 stellar drivers and 8 clowns, reward the good ones, and the clowns will either straighten up or go back to bagging groceries. Yeah, well, you know what? I don't know. It is what it is, and you can only do so much. And I know in my real life experience, uh, not every driver works out. You hope you find the good ones, or they find you, and that way it's a good, good match, good connection for everybody. But Trooper Dial, thank you again so much, and for coming on, sharing your knowledge and experience. We look forward to having you back again next month.
Yes, sir. And like I say, if anybody has a question, have them send it to you. you have my email address and you can forward it to me, and I will definitely get into the rec book and I'll give them an answer back.
Guys, this is a great resource. We've got Trooper Dial right here in Studio 10-4 Live. While he's out there and he is on Sirius XM, he's on Studio 10-4 Live too, and he's right here and he can answer any of your questions you guys like. In fact, if we get something ahead of time enough, I'll tell you what, we'll bring you into the studio with the two of us, and it'll be all three of us together, and you can ask him in person your question, okay?
I'd love that.
I think that would be a good one next time to try and see if we can do that. All right, Trooper Dial, take care, sir.
Thank you, John. Take care, buddy. See you next time.
See you next time. Stay cool there in Texas, my friend.
It's fixing to get hot next week.
Take care.
All right.
Trooper Monty Dial there, guys. Really like that gentleman and appreciate his time and generosity of sharing it. Was loving it while he was talking. He doesn't know this. If he watches the playback, he'll see it. But his old dog kept popping into the room every time, look around, kind of, then turn around, walk back out, and then come back in. I don't know if you guys were seeing that or not too, but yeah, sometimes we get kids, we get dogs, wives. Never know who's going to pop in and be a part of the show. Incidentally, there was a few moments there where either the president got very boring or his speech was over. I don't know which was the case, but we had a big uptick in viewers. So glad to have everybody jump in and check us out and see what was going on. Appreciate it. If you catch it on the playback, you'll be able to hear everything we talked about in today's topic. And today's topic was personal conveyance. I learned a lot. Dan says super short. Okay, well, did he resign? Don't tell me. It'd be like spoiling the NASCAR race for Dan. It'd be like spoiling that for me. I'll turn it on, find out what the guy did. But anyway, things as they are right now, guys. Like I said, just do your part. Be a good American. Vote. And at this point in our world, don't be afraid of who it is you are going to vote for, support. I mean, either side. I don't care which side it is. You need to do your part. Do it. Be an American and vote. And oh my gosh, use common sense, please. Let's talk a little bit about Trucker Rodeo real quick. You guys notice up here in the upper corner here, 10-4 Trucker Rodeo and Show is a sponsor for today's show. It's Studio 10-4 Live. And we're still on track here, working through stuff. Probably got a meeting coming up here, I would imagine, pretty soon to discuss where things are at. I've been pretty sidetracked here. I've got a lot of stuff going on my personal side of the world, and trying to get some things resolved. My old Dodge truck of 2006 dually that I've had that's been out of service for about 7 years is almost done. And unfortunately, today we found out the transfer case is no good. So now I've got to put a transfer case in. So now it'll have new engine, transmission, transfer case, drive line, center bearings, air to air. The entire engine's new. I mean, everything on the engine, tranny cooler, air conditioning system, air and heat system completely redone, tore the dash out, redid it. I mean, we're talking new truck. And some of you might be wondering, what the hell? Weighed that against buying a new truck and restoring my 06 one. The crummy thing about it is that truck ate itself at 185,000 miles. You know what, Dan? I will share a picture. I don't have time to bring one up right now. We got 5 minutes left in the show, and I'll share them on our page, and you guys can check them out. I haven't seen the final detailed product, but it went through the detail shop and was returned back to the mechanical shop today. And that's when I got the call. They've been driving it. Literally, they put 150, 200 miles on it to shake anything out that that needs shaken out. And um, he told me there was a vibration, and they figured it out. It's the transfer case. Yoke bearings on the transfer case on input and output both are shot. So it just, it's just a testament to what the hell. I mean, it's not all of a sudden they're building cheap crap. We're building cheap crap all along. 185,000 miles on a '06 Dodge 1-ton 3500. Come on. I mean, now granted, I put some long, hard, heavy miles on that truck. I drove it like it was supposed to be driven, and pulled a heavy trailer quite a bit with it. That being said, it ate itself. It ate the engine, the transmission, the whole 9 yards. So I can't wait to see it, though. It's supposed to look incredible. I do have some pictures that I shot on Friday, and I can't wait to share those with you guys. But I'm excited to get that back. I've got something else new that's coming up, and it'll be happening in the next month or so. We'll be moving out of where I've been at here and moving into another location. And the location will be up in the Pacific Northwest still, and in Grants Pass. So can't wait to get that done. It's just a matter of time and getting some things set up to make it happen and be right. And we're in working process of doing that. So can't wait to have that happen. 10-4 Trucker Rodeo and Show, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Guys, keep that scheduled. Registration, Dan says they're working to get registration open soon. So look forward to that. Once that happens, we'll certainly let everybody know. It'll be available on the website. There's already a tab on there, in case you guys are wondering. It's right there. And of course, you click on it now, and it gives you the little, hey, we're going to be here soon. Don't you worry. And the flyer that Dan created for it. But there it is with the information. And again, official days of the show are the 2nd and 3rd of November. But we're going to be open for business on the 1st of November to get you in there and get you parked and set up. I'm telling you guys, this place has more room and more space than any place we've ever had a show at, aside from Louisville, Kentucky, I'm sure. But RV parking, truck show parking, competition parking. The competition events are going to be on the infield of the oval, so there'll be grandstands there for you to enjoy the competition, watching it as well. There'll be probably some of the events where you can actually go into the infield or around it, so that you can get up close and watch and cheer on your favorite teams out there. Saturday is going to be all time trial stuff. And then Sunday will be head-to-head competition. That's at least what we've talked about doing so far. Well, that could change, so don't hold me to that. But that's kind of what we've been talking about doing. Reed, yeah, I hope you make it, man. It's going to be great. Yeah, the bottom line is perfect time of year for Bakersfield, California. It's not going to be hot as some things that people call it down there. Great temperatures, should be a real nice event and experience, and look forward to making that happen. There are some other shows that are coming up, and if you want to check those out as well, just click on our events tab, bring that back up, scroll on down to where we're at in the world right now, where you happen to be right here. Top Gun Large Car Shootout taking place this weekend, and then the Midwest Classic and Waupun will be coming up after that. For me on the West Coast, I will be headed out to Stanislaus County Fairgrounds in Turlock, California in September, and then over to Dixon, California in October for the Bobtail Apparel Truck Show, and then, of course, the 10-4 Trucker Rodeo and Show November 2nd and 3rd. Other good shows that are happening in between there, and some of us will be at some of those shows, meaning some of Team 10-4. Dan's going to be up at the Brooks Show. I'm not sure who's going to be out at No Coast. I think Dan and Shannon said they might be going out there to that one. So if they are, I'll let you guys know. In the meantime, we're wrapped up. Look at that. Top of the hour. Another Studio 10-4 Live gone by. Appreciate you guys tuning in and being with me all the time. Get those questions ready for Trooper Dial. I mean, the best thing to do that I found for keeping notes when I'm on the road and need a quick thing to copy that message, I just pull up notes on my phone and speak into the phone, and it records it for me, and then I have it to play back later. So maybe you guys can do the same thing. Till then, till the next show, till next week, keep the shiny side up. Look forward to you guys doing what you do. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Thanks a lot, Pete. Thanks for always tuning in. Catch you on the flip side, buddy. Y'all stay safe out there. Be good.